Guys, the topic for this video is calculating averages from grouped data, okay? The mode, range, median, mean. How can we work that out from a set of data like in a table? Okay, so let's look at this example here. So this is the number of goals scored, okay, with the frequency also given. So for the number of goals, 0 goals scored, the frequency was 8. 1 goal scored, the frequency was 15, and so on. So the mode now, remember, what does the mode mean? Mode means the most common. You've heard of that, right? So in this case here, when you're looking at a table, the mode is the one with the highest frequency. So which one has the highest frequency? You can clearly see that if you look at the frequency column, the highest is 15. So you go across. So the mode is the one with the highest frequency. So that would be the number of goals scored would be 1. So 1 goal is the mode. Does that make sense? It's not 15. Some people write, oh, the mode is 15. No, that's the frequency, the highest frequency. But the actual mode, the most common number of goals scored is 1. Does that make sense? Okay. The range now is the biggest value minus the smallest value. So it would be 5 minus 0, okay? Because the number of goals scored was 5 and the least number of goals scored was 0. So the range is 5, okay? So it's just biggest minus smallest. Median now is the middle value. So in this case here, when you're trying to work out the median value, this is why we need to use our knowledge of cumulative frequency. So what you're meant to do when you're working out the median from a group data is they expect you, they don't tell you to do it, but they expect you to actually draw another column with cumulative frequency. So you just keep on adding them up. So the first one's going to be 8, and then you do 8 plus 15, 23. Then you do 23 plus 12, that's 35, and so on. Okay. So what we do now is we are looking for the 23.5 value. So what you do is 46 plus 1 divided by 2 to work out the median. Okay, n plus 1 divided by 2. And in this case here, 46 plus 1 is 47. Divided by 2 is 23.5. So looking at cumulative frequency, okay, 23.5 is between 1 and 2. So that would be 1.5. The mean number of goals is the sum of goals divided by the number of matches. Okay. So in this case here, the mean is a little bit more work that you need to do. So pay attention. So what they expect you to do is draw another column, x times f, so which is the number of goals multiplied by the frequency. So the first one's going to be 0 times 8 is 0. The next one is 1 times 15, which is 15. The next one is 2 times 12, which is 24. And the next one is 3 times 7, which is 21, and so on. So we add up all the frequencies and all the last column. So we add them up. So the total number of frequency f is 46, and the total number of x times f is 77. So once you've done that, it's fairly straightforward. Once you've done that, the mean will just be 77 divided by 46. Okay. So it'll be 77 divided by 46, which is equal to 1.67. All right, and that's how you work out the mean. So averages from grouped data. This is another example with a group frequency table. So the previous one was from a table of data, but it wasn't grouped. Okay. But here now, okay, this is what we call discrete data. But when it's grouped together, we have collected a continuous data set. Okay. So sometimes they may ask you, okay, work out the averages from this grouped frequency table. So the modal class here is the grouped class with the highest frequency. So which one has the highest frequency? 15. So that means the modal class would be 35 to 40. Why? Because the most people that were traveling that is because the most people were traveling between 35 and 40 miles per hour. Okay. We can't calculate the exact median, but can find, which class it belongs to. So we add a cumulative frequency column again. All right. And then what we do is we find the value where it's first above the middle value. So what we do is we do 50 plus 1, which is 51, divided by 2 is 25.5. Okay. So 25.5, where does that lie? So you look at your cumulative frequency, it goes 4, 16, then 26. So 25.5, the median would have to be in the third class, which is 30 to 35. Does that make sense? So the median falls between 30 to 35. All right. What about the mean now? Okay. The mean would be, again, we cannot calculate the exact mean. It's going to be a good estimate of the mean. Okay. So in order to do this now, is you're going to have to actually work out the midpoint of the classes. Okay, does that make sense? So 22.5, 27.5, 32.5, 37.5, and 42.5. And then you're going to multiply the frequency and the midpoint together. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you add up the frequency and then you add up f times m. And then once you've done that for the mean, all you have to do is you have to divide the total for f times m, which is 1,700, divided by the total frequency, which is 50. So 1,700 divided by 50 gives me an estimated mean of 34 miles per hour. Fairly straightforward, okay? So what you have to do is you have to make sure for this group data is you do 2 columns. You do the midpoint, okay, which is basically the midpoint in the class, and then you do f times m, so the frequency times by the midpoint. So the total of the frequency times by the midpoint divided by the total frequency is your estimated mean from this grouped frequency table. What I'd like you to do now is copy this down using the example given, copy down this example, and have a go at working out the mean and the modal group. Please pause the video and press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, so let's start off with the mean and the modal group. I think it's easier to work out what the modal group is. So you can clearly see which one has the highest frequency. 15 is the highest frequency, but my modal group is not 15. 15 belongs to the group with pocket money between 4 to 5 pounds. So the modal group is 4 to 5, okay? For the mean now, remember we said this is continuous data, so we need to work out the midpoint. So these are the midpoints, okay? And then what you have to do is you have to do the frequency times by the midpoint. So 2 times 0.5 is 1, and so on. You just multiply them together. And that's what you get. What do I do next? Look at the top right. The mean, the formula to work out the mean is the f times x total divided by the f total. Okay, so the frequency times by the midpoint, the total of that divided by the total frequency. So of course, what you have to do now is you have to add up the total of the frequency and the total of fx column. Okay, once you've done that to work out your mean, well, the estimated mean, please copy down this example as we're going along. The estimated mean is equal to fx total divided by f total. That would be 120 divided by 36, and that would give us an estimated mean of around £3.33. And the modal group would be one with the highest frequency, like we mentioned, and that would be 4 to 5 pounds. I hope that makes sense. What I'd like you to do now is go onto MathsWatch and have a go at the questions. Please make sure you copy down all of these examples. Thank you so much for listening.